In this video, we're going to be removing the bulkhead out of this 2014 Ford Transit Connect van. It's a bigger job than just unbolting it and getting it out. A really much bigger job. One, we've got these seats here, which are connected to obviously the floor, but the headrests are connected to the bulkhead. This seatbelt is connected to the bulkhead. If a seat is factory fitted with a seatbelt and a headrest, they have to have it to pass an MOT. So we're going to have to replace these seats as well and do a seat conversion inside Indy. This is what we've named her. Now in here, we're not removing the full bulkhead. We're actually, see these rivets and stuff? We're actually going to try and keep all this top section just here, solely because one, the headline is already shaped that way, and two, on the other side of this bulkhead area, we want to stick like a shelf up there as well. We might actually extend this console piece all the way across. I don't know. There's another way we can do this. If you wanted to remove that as well and remove the whole bulkhead in one piece, the way to do it is to see this top piece, this piece up here. You have to get that down. The screws are under there, under there, under there, and a couple behind it in the middle, just over there. You have to remove that down, get the headlining down, because the bolts for the top of this are right up underneath this headlining, all the way up here. For us, we're actually only just going to be converting these two into from a 3-seater van into a 2-seater van. The way we've done that is we've gone to a scrapyard and we've got a single seat from the base model Ford Transit Connect 2014. It's actually a 2016 seat. Go to a scrapyard, shop around. The prices are massively variable, and just wait until you find the seat that you want for yours. The base model seat should, in theory, fit straight onto most of the brackets for here. However, underneath this center console, we're actually going to be losing some of this center console as well, because as you can see, the line comes all the way across there for the handbrake, and then all this section has got the lock in it for this seat that folds down. So we're going to be losing most of that as well. It should be fun. The first job we've got to do, there's the single seat there, is empty the back of the van, because it's got a few bits in it that we need to basically access that bulkhead and everything in it. So we've got a load of tools and stuff, and that's got a load of car maintenance stuff, so screen washing, stuff like that in it. It's got the drill, because we're going to need the drill. We've got wind deflectors for the side windows. That's another video further down. Toolbox, because I'm going to need the toolbox today. That's some camping stuff that I've got, some pillows, some bedding, some extra warm clothes, and we've got the hiking boots and the actual seat we're going to be using as well. We're going to have to remove the floor inside this van. To do this, it's a few screws here, and there's a few along that ridge line there, and that's just solely so we can get to some bolts that should in theory be underneath that wooden floor. By far the best tool I've ever done. 2 seconds and they're all out. Come on then, come on. Yes, yes, yes. Needs a bit of a clean, but whoever had it last has left me a few little tools. Let's see what's around the other side, because there's going to be something, isn't there? Let's have a look. Loads of screws. Yeah, need a good scrub. Underneath these little bulges, there's a few of them dotted around. There is 10mm sockets. So we're going to whip out all the ones on the floor to start with, because if we can get this bulkhead out, then this job may be easier than I actually anticipated to start with. I've got bolts all around the floor, then some up the sides, drill the rivets out the top, remove the seat belt from the inside, and the bulkhead should, in theory, just come out, in theory. Once all those bolts are out, that is unbolted. We've still got the doobie-doo rivets to bolt out, but we'll come to the center seat belt because that's attached. So we lift that clip up, and you've got a T50 torque under there. So we're going to whack this. We've only got it as an Allen key. I'd love to have it as a wrench, but we haven't. We're going to undo that and get that off now. There's this metal clip here. You can see that clip just there, just holds the seatbelt in. Just give it a jiggle sideways and down, and that should just, in theory, there we go, clip off. Then that bolt again. This is actually surprisingly easy to undo. With all the rivets out, it's just a case of pull the door seal down as far as you want, and you've got then little tiny clips, so you've got to basically lift it up and out. Look at the space, look at the space. Oh, yes, absolutely made up with that. Now we've got some bits to do, removing the seat belt and whatever like that, but now we're going to concentrate on getting the seats out. That's the tricky bit, because it's all down there, torque bolts and torque bolts under there, and it's just going to be a bit of a tricky one, but wow, chuffed with how much space that's got. T50 torque, loads of bits and bobs there. So we're just going to lift this seat up first and start attacking that bolt, then that bolt, try and get all this center console out and attack the bolts that are under there too. In hindsight, I wish I did have a socket because these bolts were quite big. They just took ages to get out by quarter turning. We have to get the electrics out. This is the sensor for the airbags to tell the seat belts to tighten up when you have an incident. We get all the USB sockets out, the auxiliary sockets, the 12-volt connector for the cigarette lighter because they're staying with me. The wiring's still there already, so I'm going to get that out. Behind that flap at the back, you've got a couple more T27 torque bolts. There's 2 there, and there's also 2, one on each side of the actual center console. It took me a while to find them, as you'll see through the video, because I just misplaced them. You've obviously got this one here. There's one. That one is hidden underneath a plastic flap. Get a little pry bar under there and that'll sort of pick it up. There's another one of those hidden bolts. I had to put the seat all the way back to be able to find that bolt. There's another one tucked away right behind the handbrake. I didn't see that one. It was an awkward one. There was a lot of engineering going into just adhering a center console. Underneath this center console, there was a lot of wiring that was actually attached to the plastic. They were just attached to the plastic on like clips. It was just there to keep the cabling tidy, I guess, to keep it all in place. Once you've pulled all that out, you're just left with this. Absolutely everything. You've got all the different wiring. I would recommend labeling the wiring. It's what I did, what it goes for. Last couple of bolts for the actual seat, and then in theory, this seat just pops off. Just look at that. It's heavy. So be careful. Use 2 people to lift it. But wow, there it is. I've just got to try and put it all on eBay now and try and figure that out. We're going to leave her to clean up a bit, and then just 4 bolts bolt the new seat straight onto the existing holes. Use the existing bolts that you've already got. Clip the wiring straight back into the seat because there is a place for the wiring to sit on this seat. And we actually left the center seat belt in so that we don't have to mess around with the airbag light that will come on if we do mess around with that center seat. We're going to get these torque brackets out again. T50 bolts, just keep these on. These are for strapping down loads in the back of the van. We're obviously not going to need them, so they're all getting whipped out as we speak. Then we can get this rubber lino floor up because we want to be able to insulate this floor in the end. So we're just going to rip it up, see what's underneath there, see how clean it is, and give it a good scrub. I'm so blown away with how much space is actually in here now. It just feels so much bigger, but we definitely need to insulate it. Let's just see if the airbag light comes on and actually goes off, because when you start it up, part of the MOT is it comes on, and then on its own accord, it goes off. Yes, it went off. Absolutely amazing. So I'm wow chuffed with that. Look at the space that it's provided. The 2 seats, the full back. Now, it has increased the volume in here in the sense of noise. Solely because we've got a lot more noise in the back now from just general road noise and just general bits like that. Another downside to this is I've got to think of a way of doing the center console because it's just wires and stuff at the moment. The way I'm theorying about that is I'll build a box over the wires and everything that are in there, and I know a little 12-volt hook-up fridge that I can stick there. It's got an armrest on the top with a couple of cup holders. It's only a little fridge, and that'll go perfect with the solar panels that I've just drunkenly ordered last night. So that would be fun. Feeling like a true camper now because I'm pulling over. Let me show you. Let me show you what I've just done. This is absolutely epic. I mean, just whoosh, sunset vibes.